Click the first link in the description for the best Askreddit content. Today I fucked up by stopping a kid from getting run over. This actually happened a few years ago. I was walking towards the community park in my neighborhood when I saw a kid who was maybe 2 years old at the time, sitting in the middle of the road with a toy bucket and a tennis ball. Now the place where he was sitting was right by a turn, so cars going a bit too fast would have just a few seconds to see him if they made that turn, less if they were speeding. I saw a lady that I presumed to be his nanny sitting on a bench on a phone call. She'd obviously lost track of him. Now I'm not gonna exaggerate this. I didn't dolphin dive through the air, do a front flip, and knee slide across the concrete to save the kid from certain death. I heard a car coming in the distance, quiet neighborhood, and ran with a slight sense of urgency into the road, picked up the kid and his toy bucket, and jogged across the road. Yes, I had enough time to grab his toy bucket. I'm pretty sure I could have walked across the road calmly and still made it with ample time. But anyway, I'm 18 years old right now, so I was around 16 at the time. I happened to be wearing all black, as well as a black hoodie, and the hood had gone up over my head when I bent down to pick up the kid. I held the kid for a few seconds thinking of how I could exaggerate this story into seeming like a hero, and I hear a shriek. The kid's mother had turned the corner from their home, which I'm presuming was very close by, and the first thing she saw was a man dressed in all black holding her 2-year-old son and walking away from her. It took a lot of frantic explaining, but she seemed to calm down when she saw my face. Curse of the baby face. Too long didn't read, grabbed a 2-year-old kid in the middle of the road so he wouldn't get hit by a car, but his mom shows up and thinks I'm kidnapping him. P.S. Just to clarify, I am not trying to come across as a hero here. I had something like 30 seconds to react and I did, but one of the 5 other people nearby would have done the same if I hadn't noticed. Edit, never gotten an award on Reddit before and now I got a bunch. Thanks for all the love, and the karma OFC. Not all heroes wear capes. Sometimes, they look like kidnappers with a baby face. Oh no buddy, just the worst time to wear black. I feel really bad, but you saved a kid. Also, where the hell was the mom? Like the kid was 2, so it's kind of neglection coming from the mom. I was fortunate to live in a fairly upper class ahem white neighborhood, so a lot of parents had people hired to watch the kids. Also, all the mother saw was a brown man in all black walking away with her child. Lamau. Well done. However, I don't really see how this is a today I fucked up story. Can't see that you did anything wrong. I feel like maybe always dressing like a stereotypical criminal from the ages of 14 onwards was my fuck up, smiley face. Well, now I wanna go rewatch Yu Yu Hakusho. Well, now I want to do that. Why would you do this to me? Today I fucked up by admitting to my kids that I'm a drug addict. This did happen today. My kids are elementary aged and never stop asking questions. I think they actually ask very interesting questions, so I try to answer them the best I can, often giving them as much detail as I feel they can handle and also providing context when possible. Today on our way home I remembered I was out of coffee and that I needed to stop and grab some. I'm usually a morning person, but without coffee I get grumpy, headachy, sick to my stomach, etc. No one wants that. So when I see a shop I tell the kids, oh, I just remembered that I needed to get coffee for the morning. My son says, why do you need the coffee? I give my usual explanation, telling them that coffee contains a chemical called caffeine, tell them what it does and that it is addictive, and explain how I feel when I don't have it. Somewhere in the conversation I must have used the word drug, and my preteen daughter asked with a smirk, so, you're saying you're a drug addict? I knew I'd fucked up when I answered yeah, I guess so, without thinking, and both kids did the whole ooh with that face a kid makes when they catch their parents doing something naughty. We've had many talks about drugs recently, so they think this is very scandalous. I also implicated their father, who smokes cigarettes, as a drug addict also. I can't wait to get that WTF text when the kids inevitably tell him I said he was a drug addict. Skeptical. Too long didn't read, tried to be educational by explaining why I need coffee in the morning, must have used the word drug in my explanation. Now my kids think I'm a drug addict. Well, you are a drug addict. Caffeine is a drug. You are dependent upon it. You are an addict. So is your husband. Nicotine is a drug. Caffeine and nicotine are both psychoactive substances. Just because it's not heroin and you're not pawning grandma's engagement ring for your next fix doesn't make you any less of an addict. It just means your poison of choice is legal and regulated and thus affordable and not socially stigmatized. You should teach that lesson to your kids so they're not assholes to people with addiction problems. They had us in the first half. Don't worry, I do this thing with my 2-year-old daughter some mornings. When her mom is changing her diaper when she wakes up, I'll tickle her naked butt cheeks and say tickle butt. She laughs. It's a really fun situation. I did it the other day, same as always, and when I stopped she kept laughing for a few seconds and said daddy tickle my Gina. My wife started cracking up while I just kept saying sternly no. I was trying to get her to drop it so she wouldn't accidentally say that in public or something, but my wife kept feeding the fire by laughing at it. If I go to prison, please remember that I didn't do anything improper. Ha 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 ha. When I was younger I found a bunch of pill boxes in my dad's bedside drawer. I asked mum what they were, and she unthinkingly just said, "Oh, they're just his drugs." Of course, I took everything literally from a young age, especially things my mum told me, and I told my grandmother that dad was a drug addict, and he had a full drawer full of them. They were antidepressants. On the subject of me taking things literally, once mum brought a container of chlorine out of the shed to dump in the pool. I asked what she was doing, and she jokingly said she was going to poison me with it. Took it literally and became really upset. Then she got mad that I thought she genuinely poisoned me. I was, like, 4. The fun bit happens when a teacher overhears them saying my parents are drug addicts. Ha 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 ha. There was a clip going around a couple years ago about a little girl who told her teacher that her parents were growing weed. Turns out she was talking about the weeds growing in the backyard. Good times. Skeptical. Today I fucked up by grabbing a 350 degrees pan. Reposted because of length. So I decided to try out a recipe from Gordon Ramsay, and after going out to the store early in the morning I came home to prep. Oven was set to 350 and everything was going fine, but I was a little rushed due to trying to cook multiple things at once. I may have remembered to take the pan out of the oven with a towel, but apparently couldn't remember to use the towel to move the pan across the stove. Not even 30 seconds later, grandmother had to rush to get whatever we had to treat burns, and now have a mediocre wrap on my right hand. Still thankful that I wasn't alone when it happened. Even more glad that it tasted good and the others enjoyed it too. Too long didn't read. Grabbed a hot pan, RIP my right hand. Edits, length and formatting because mobile. Typing / doing literally anything with my non-dominant hand is a bit of a struggle lol. Too long didn't read, Gordon Ramsay burned up. My dumbass ass thought, why is your pan only 350 degrees and not a full 360 degrees round? Gosh, that looks painful. Frown. Hope it heals quickly. I burned a part of my wrist BC of a hot pan a month ago and I'm still waiting for it to fade. Crying face. I'm just hoping it will be good enough by the time I go back to work on Monday. If not, it's going to blow. I feel you on this one. About 10 years ago I did something relatively similar. I was cooking and put a pot of beans on the stove, metal pot with a metal handle, left it to start heating up, got distracted with other stuff, young kids, other meal components, etc. About 10 minutes later I went to grab this pan to remove it from the heat because I didn't want a burned black mess of beans stuck to the bottom of the pan, and realized I'd completely ignored it since turning it on. My FU was not actually adding the beans to the pan, thus ensuring complete transfer of heat to the metal handle, which I'd just grabbed. My thumb and half of my palm were pretty fucked for weeks. It's okay, I burned my leg pretty badly on 4th of July a couple years back by dropping a live firework on it. I forget what it was, but the sparks caught my leg. The scar has mostly healed up now, but it hurt and I had to act like I wasn't in pain every time I took a step for over a week. I scalded my arm by spilling hot clam sauce all over it. Still looks like shit 2 years later.